All right, I think we are live. This is the first live stream I think I've done in about 2 months now, actually. So good to see you all again. Welcome back to the channel. Today, although I'm smiling, we're going to be talking about a pretty serious topic actually, and that is this energy crisis that I covered a few months back. Actually, I initially covered it way back last year, and I said how bad this energy crisis was going to get with inflation, supply chain issues, all the bottlenecks and everything else, the lockdowns, the refineries closing down and then had to restart again. So these are all the topics I covered a year ago now. The media's only just caught up. The inflation and the prices are now catching up. So it is an absolutely crazy situation. And I always find it funny when people say, oh, clickbait thumbnail, 51% increase. No, it's actually 250% increase on gas, 250% on the wholesale price. So 51% is nothing in comparison. But let me go through a couple of my notes then here, and then I'm going to give you some guidance on if I were in your situation. And I think even if you're fairly rich, you need to take some action on this, because this is absolutely insane, the price levels that you're going to be seeing. I'm going to talk predominantly about the UK, a little bit of Europe, but this is going to apply to everywhere, the whole world, unless you're in one of these countries that, you know, the gas is just coming out, and the oil and everything else just coming out the ground, pumping out. Then if you're not in one of those countries and you have to import a lot of your energy, this is going to affect you really badly. Not to worry you too much, but the numbers are insane. And I just don't feel like the politicians are really doing anything about it. I'm looking into it, I'm doing the research as normal. No one seems to be doing anything about this. And even the media doesn't seem to be talking about it that much. We've got a few stories that I'm going to show you today, but it's insane. So wholesale gas prices that you use to heat your home, for the majority of you in the UK, are up 250% year on year. 250%. Now that's wholesale, so that won't get passed on to you, exactly like that. But energy bills will rise between 51% at the lowest and 75% by coming up in April and then October, because you have two price points via off-gen, which is the pricing cap. So this is what's going to depend upon between 51 and 75% increase to your energy bill. Just think about that for a second. So that will add as a minimum about £600 to everyone's energy this year. So that's £50 a month extra. This is just the average house. £50 a month extra is going to be added to your household bills. So again, this is on top of food price inflation. This is on top of at the pump, petrol, diesel, whatever you're pumping, everything's going up. In fact, that has gone up dramatically from £1.14 last year to £1.45 today. That is huge. That's 30 pence increase. And again, the thing that really bothers me about the UK fuel taxes, and also some other countries as well, is that you think you're paying for fuel and that's the price of fuel. No, when you pay that £1.45 for that fuel, again, I'm talking about some petrol and diesel here, but we'll go back to gas and electric in a minute. When you pay that price, what people don't realize is a small amount of that is for the actual fuel. Then they put something called fuel tax on top. Then they add on VAT, what they call value added tax, what I call no value added tax, on top of the fuel tax. So actually you're paying this much for the fuel and this much on taxes, and they're not going to bring it down and not going to change it. So looking at this article, we'll go to the first article. We're expected to go up to at least 2,200. Let's go to the shared screen here. Here we go. So millions face a second increase this year. And again, April and October, that's the price cap months. So look at this, the average price is this is just an average house. And for those of you in America, Canada and other countries watching, no, we're not talking in the, like your average house might be 3 bedrooms, huge, 1,500 square feet, stuff like that. No. In the UK, we're talking probably 800 square feet comparison, probably half the size of yours. Average home is 2 bedrooms. You know, we're not talking huge houses here. It's a very small island, limited space. So just to put this in comparison to those of you watching from outside of the UK today, £2,255 by October is the estimate. I mean, this is, honestly, I'm really worried for a lot of people. I just don't know how they're going to be able to afford these prices, and the government really can't do anything about it at all. Let's have a look. Okay, so they're expected to surge more than 75% above today's prices. 75%. Yeah, so this was when the cap, so 2019, it's just showing some of the prices here. So we're looking at £1,925 average by April, and then that 2,200 by October. So this is going to treble overnight to 6.3 million customers across the UK. And again, don't think this is just the UK. This is going to affect a lot of countries. Okay, so let's go to the next article here from the Express. Now you remember I was telling you about all these different firms that have been going bankrupt. So it's 26, I believe, up to last year went bankrupt. So this is another energy firm. And its name is Together Energy, 176,000 customers. Look at this. I keep getting breaking news. I just had a breaking news story come in that said, snow to devastate and destroy the UK this week. I don't know what they think snow is, but I don't think it's going to be destroying anything, but we might get a bit of snow this week. But look at this, 250% gas prices, 250%. Now I want to actually show you all. Okay, let me go to this list because this is crazy. So let's look at this list here. And these are all of the energy companies that have collapsed since the pandemic began. So this was December 19 when it all kicked off. Breeze, 18,000 customers. March in 2020, G Energy, 9,000. September, 2,500. This was the big one. In October, Tonic Energy, 130,000. I mean, there's pages of this. December 20, 74,000. January, Green Network Energy, really big supplier, 367,000. September 21, People's Energy, 350,000. Avro, huge one in September as well. I mean, look, all of these collapsed in one single month. You're talking here you're probably talking 1.5 million customers in one single month. And that's a lot for the UK. Again, more, so actually there's 8 in one single month. All of these energy firms just collapsing. And again, this is bad. This is very bad for consumers because it actually limits the competition. And when you have limited competition, it's not good for customer service, for prices and everything else. And then let's get to the latest then. So this is just this year. So again, November, look how many we had, and the previous page, all of these. Now this was the big one, Bulb, 1.7 million customers. That's gone into a special administration at the moment. But here was Together Energy just this month. And again, we're going to see more of this as we go forward. 176,000. And this is what, I saw this image and it really hit home for me actually. What most people don't see when you're sat at home, but this is what I think about when I think about fuel poverty and all the people that are going to be going into fuel poverty in both April and October of this year. It's someone like this person here, a pensioner living at home with this little heater on because they have to make a choice between, do I eat or do I heat? That wasn't meant to rhyme there, but that's what I see. Little heater trying to heat the home, keep themselves warm, and I just think it's really sad because have the government put up everyone's pensions? No. So all these prices are going through the roof with no support for pensioners and people who are the poorest in society. This is, again, really sad because I always think about the children in these families, in the poorest in society. these children will have to suffer, and no children should have to go through this. I mean, it's just so sad. Got a couple of notes that I highlighted here. So soaring energy bills threaten to devastate the UK's poorest families, who face spending more than half of their income after housing costs on gas and electric this year. More than half of their income after their housing costs on gas and electric. Just gas and electricity, not petrol or diesel or anything like that. And that's the other thing. You know, there's been this huge push to get everyone over to electric vehicles. A lot of people have made the switch because electricity is so cheap. So cheap, you can switch over to this electric vehicle now. But look what's happened. Everyone's switching over, and now electricity is going through the roof. It's not a good situation here. Single adult families on low incomes will be hardest hit, spending 54% of their income after housing costs on energy. Let's have a look what else we've got. Okay, so middle class households are forecast to see a relatively modest budget hit, with energy accounting for around 6 to 8% of their incomes on average. That's still a lot. For the average person, 6 to 8% of their income. And again, in the UK, the average income is not high at all. I mean, you're probably talking off the top of my head here, maybe £30,000. It is not a lot. And, I was speaking to a client this week, American, they said, 30,000, that's like $90,000, isn't it, man? And I'm like, no. £30,000 is probably $40,000 or maybe $45,000. I haven't got my currency conversion in front of me, but it's not a lot of money when you compare it to, say, other nations. So this is a huge amount to be spending on bills here. Well, what's Joe Biden up to here? I don't know why he's in this article on energy prices, but there you go. So around 1.8 million children were growing up in very deep poverty in households with 40% or less of the average income. This is an increase of 500,000 children since 2011. It's just worrying times with all of this. Next thing I want to show you there. This is from the Times. So this is the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, my nemesis, as you all know, because he's very, very good at saying things in a believable way and everyone believes him. And I feel like I'm the only one sat there going, that makes absolutely no sense what you've just said. And of course, he managed to keep it going for a year about inflation's transitory, it's going to be gone, don't worry, these gas and electric prices, does that, jolly laugh, don't worry, they're going, give it 6 months, the price is back to normal. Yeah, well, guess what he's saying today? I've got this quote from him here. He finally admitted this week that he can't control energy prices after initially saying he could. He said, and I quote, "I'm sorry to say the energy prices will keep going up." And then he said something really bizarre. He said, "Interest rate hikes are coming, which will only make the problem worse." Now, I didn't think much of that when he first said it, but then as I started thinking about it a little bit more, I went, hold on, how can interest rate hikes in the United Kingdom affect the gas prices of Russia? And in fact, let me just see if I can show you where all the gas comes from. Let's see, I'm sure I've got it on here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. This is where gas comes from. And again, it says UK, but it applies to a lot of other countries as well. So we've got Russia, Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, Qatar, Trinidad, Tobago, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, France. I mean, these are small numbers here. It's mainly the Norway, Russia, USA, Qatar, which provide a lot of this gas. Also remember, you've got other forms, you've got liquid gas that comes in as well. But I just wanted to touch upon this. So he's saying that by increasing interest rates in the UK, it's somehow going to affect the prices of all these other countries' gas. I'm not sure if I'm following his logic there, unless he thinks something's going to happen to the UK currency as a result of the interest rate, and that's therefore going to push up prices. I mean, that's a long shot connection, unless he knows something that we don't, might give us a glimpse into something there. But let's have a look what he was saying. Energy prices are to persist for much longer than had originally been expected. The governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, told MPs yesterday. Let's have a look at this. During the session, which he was accused of mismanagement, okay, and then he came up with city derivatives prices, pointing to expectations of a longer period of high gas and oil prices. No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason at all. The reason is because he, at the head of the Bank of England, have created too much money. M1, M2 money supply, and they've pumped up all this new currency, but the goods and services are the same. So you've got all this new currency, same amount of goods and services, prices are increasing. Now, of course, there's other reasons. In fact, let me go back here and I'll tell you a couple of other reasons here. Because people always ask, why are energy prices, this is the question I get asked all the time, why are energy prices constantly going up? Gas, electric, and fuel, other fuels, and at the pump and all this sort of stuff. So, number one, let's talk about the energy first of all. In terms of gas, the UK government did absolutely zero planning or being proactive. Not last year, 2020, but if you think 2019, when we had that freezing winter, December right through to sort of February time, that freezing winter, all of the gas reserves, because it was so cold, actually just got used up a lot faster than they normally would. Because if it's freezing cold outside, you need more gas to heat up your home. Pretty common sense. So that's what happened. Now, if you were in charge of those gas reserves, you're the MP, whatever, the politician in charge of it, or you're part of it in some other way, wouldn't you think, just throwing this one out there, wouldn't you think, we've used up all of our gas, maybe we should get some more while it's cheap? Maybe. I mean, am I just being too logical there? No, they said, oh, hold on, let's just do nothing and then we'll import it next year. Well, a year later, you've got lockdowns, you've got all these supply chain issues, refineries not working. Russia didn't want to send a lot of gas because they depleted their reserves. They have freezing cold winters. So you had all of these things going on at the same time. So it was just poor planning as usual. But the crazy thing is, the politicians who are in charge of this, they never, ever take any heat for it. They might get, a little bit of verbal, oh, you were a naughty boy or girl. And that's about it. Nothing ever comes of it. They're just not held to account for these things. And then people suffer. People go into fuel poverty and all these other things because, you see, they could have delayed it. So it wouldn't have fixed this problem we're in right now. But they could have delayed it a little bit by having more fuel reserves, which would have helped people's bills a little bit. So it would have just cushioned that blow a little bit more, given the government a little bit more time to fix this crisis. What else was there? Yeah, lockdowns, closures, reduced supply. So those really, I would say, are the main things that have affected the gas supply. Now, one other thing I think I wanted to show you was, okay, so how long? That was the other question. So pretty much everybody believes the same thing, and they're going to keep rising until at least 2023. So you're probably going to see, now what I do think as well is you will see little dips in prices, because there's a lot of different countries that are ramping up production now. So you may see some little dips here and there, but long term, I don't think prices are going to come down. But I do just want to add that in, because I do think prices may dip 2, 3, 4% here and there, but long term, they won't. Now, I saw this article today, just came out today, and it was interesting because only yesterday I was driving by a sign. It said hundreds of new houses are coming soon. And I saw the plot, and that's always been a farm. Since I've known it, it's always been a huge, huge farm. So they're obviously taking farmland and building houses on it. And this is happening a lot at the moment. But I'll explain why that's relevant in a second. But the rising energy price is not sustainable for farmers. So they're seeing £1,000 a month already. And this is without these rises that are coming, already seeing £1,000 a month. And what's been happening? Dairy farmers have been dumping their milk anyway because of production, not production issues, but actually transport issues, getting it transported, labour issues, dumping huge amounts of milk. But this is what they're saying. And again, we've got the MP here, Secretary for State and Business, not doing the best job, in my opinion. Now, one thing I was going to say about these the houses was really key point, and I've forgotten it. Driving by those houses, what was I going to say about those? Oh yeah, so I'm driving by these, I'm seeing all these farms becoming, huge housing developments, and I keep hearing that the UK imports 5 times more food from, say, the EU than it exports. So exports 1, imports 5. And it made me think, well, if that's the case, why then are they closing so many farms? Why are they getting rid of a lot of farms, and why is all this other stuff going on? Why are a lot of farms closing down? I know it's costs and regulations and people retiring and things like that. But yeah, it doesn't really make sense. We have food shortages globally. That is a fact. Food shortages globally, and yet we're importing 5 times the amount of food than we actually export. Why are we not being self-sufficient? And this is happening in a lot of countries now. Why is it in your country as well that there isn't this self-sufficiency? Why do we keep doing all this craziness of... I think Venezuela is probably the best example here, actually. A lot of people don't really understand what happened in Venezuela. And it is complicated, but I can break it down very simply. They had so much oil money that they were just importing everything. Government started buying all the private businesses, etc. Throughout the country, people forgot how to do a lot of stuff. They forgot how to farm and produce food and produce all the other things that they did. The industry just got decimated over this period. And then by the time the financial crisis started to happen in Venezuela, they borrowed all this foreign debt. They had this issue with, they owed all this money, the currency was devaluing, hyperinflation in effect. And this is what worries me about a lot of countries, including a lot of Western nations, is that we're so reliant now on all of these other countries that cheap labor, China and Vietnam and all these other sort of other countries, a lot of African nations as well. We're just reliant on all of this. And we're letting our own industry just disappear, basically. Because one day, everything's going to come home to roost and we're going to be in a big trouble, big situation here. So I said I'd give you a bit of guidance. I went off tangent there. I know I do that, but hopefully that was useful. A bit of guidance I wanted to say. Now, if you're in the UK or you're in a country where there is a price cap right now, don't do anything at all about your gas bill. But come 1st of April, when this price cap lifts, that is when you want to start looking at other energy suppliers. Really shop around, look at the marketplace and see what other suppliers are out there for you. That is one thing I would definitely do then, and I'd probably do the same thing again in October time. Now, if you live quite rurally, for example, this is the advice I give a lot, and that is, and most of my clients have these in their homes now, and that is to get log burners or wood burners. See, my last home that I lived in was a big house, so we had fireplaces in, the old-fashioned type of fireplaces. But what we did, we had wood burners. So we had wood burners throughout the house. And, my wife used to laugh at me going out there with my, chainsaw and my axe and a little bit of muscle, not too much, and getting all this wood and getting all this lumber. And yeah, I could have ordered it in, but I just enjoy doing it. Cutting up some wood makes you feel manly, doesn't it? You know? So that was it. Get some wood burners if you can. Even one small wood burner for your home, especially if you've got lumber on your property or you've got wood near you. You always see bits of wood here and there, or someone, actually just down my street, someone chopped up a big tree and he just left most of it, just left the wood. People say, oh, can I take this and use it? Yeah, take it. You know, you see this a lot. But even something like that, you might say, well, it's a bit of an initial investment, but if it's going to be cheaper, and it's not always, but if you can get access to wood, that will help a lot with your home heating, especially in the freezing winters. That will definitely take the edge off. You can heat a home nicely with a good wood burner. So that would be the main thing. Now, in terms of electricity then, there isn't a huge amount you can do about these prices. There really isn't. And I think they're probably going to keep going up over the long term. But if you can afford, let's say, the investment, let's say you've got cash sitting in the bank and it's doing nothing, if you can afford that investment into some sort of renewable source, solar panels is the most obvious, with maybe a battery so that you charge the battery then puts energy into the home. If you can afford a system like that, it's not cheap. Sometimes there's government grants and things as well though. That would be good. But you've just got to look at the payback on it. What's the return on investment? You've really got to do this, use a spreadsheet online or a calculator or something like that to do it. But look at the payback. If you think it's going to be worth it before the panels and the battery wear out, then I think that might be a good idea for you. And it's good to get off the grid anyway and have a second form of energy. All right, I've spoken for long enough. I hope you enjoyed this live stream today. It's always good to connect with you. Thanks for clicking the like button and being a subscriber here. I really appreciate you. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you very soon.